Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. Can you believe we are 3 years on from the Korean sunscreen scandal? A scandal which was so big, it almost led to the downfall of the whole Korean skincare industry here in the West. However, 3 years is a long time in skincare, and in 2024, Korean sunscreens actually sold greater volumes than at any other point in the past 10 years. So, what happened? How did the industry manage to turn this scandal on its head? In today's video, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive and see everything that's gone on in the past 3 years and how, whilst the scandal might have been atrocious at the time, it's actually led to some significant improvements for us, the consumer, and there might be some silver linings to take from it. Sit back, relax, let's talk 3 years on from the Korean sunscreen scandal. Now, before we get into today's video, I of course want to know your own hot take when it comes to this topic. Are you a huge fan of Korean sunscreens? Do you think that so much has changed in the last 3 years you're willing to forgive and forget for those next level formulations? If you are, let me know by leaving the sunshine emoji down in the comments and state any of your personal favorites from the Korean sunscreen market. If you're somebody that still has major trust issues with Korean sunscreens, know that you're not alone out there, and let me know by leaving the cross emoji again in the comments so we can see exactly what the true thoughts, feelings and opinions are when it comes to the Mad About Skin viewership. Whatever your thoughts on this topic, if you want to see more content like this where we do a little bit of a deep dive into industry trends, brands, scandals, issues, keeping us informed of everything going on in skincare, let me know by reaching down and giving the video a big thumbs up and a like. The more likes a video gets, the more likely I am to replicate it with future uploads, because I always want to create the content that you guys most enjoy consuming. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to each and every one of you. Now, without further ado, let's cut that waffle and delve straight on in. So, the Korean sunscreen scandal, what was it and kind of how did it take hold? We'll first do a bit of an overview, a road travelled so far to catch you guys up. Then we're going to take a look at everything that's happened in the ensuing period and why Korean sunscreens are more popular than ever. And I'll throw in a couple of my personal favourite recommendations too. So, how did we get here? Well, the Korean sunscreen scandal started around 4 years ago, but it reached its peak 3 years ago around Christmas time. And very much a lot of the attention was directed at a few large brands, such as Purito and Dear Claire's. However, there was more widespread issues across the whole sunscreen market, and it all came around the amount of SPF protection brands were actually delivering versus what they claimed. I think for years, people had had their suspicions when it came to Korean sunscreens. You know, they were promising SPF 50 plus protection, but with the most impossibly lightweight and elegant feel on the skin. And I think impossible was the key word. Whilst a lot of us will put our blind trust into brands, that what they say is obviously what they're going to deliver, there were people that for quite some time has thought, is this actually possible when you look at the formulations, when you look at the finish and the feel on the skin? Can it actually be delivering those SPF values? Well, it turned out that they weren't. Purito, I think, came in for most of the heat because their SPF 50 plus actually tested at an average of SPF 19 in independent laboratory testing. That is a huge discrepancy between what they're actually delivering versus what they were claiming to deliver. And this kind of spiraled on from there, with lots of labs then doing independent testing on a whole range of different Korean sunscreens. And whilst there were some that did absolutely pass the test, the vast majority didn't. And this kind of exposed a few more issues in the industry, particularly around regulation and the very light touch that Korean authorities took, specifically around sunscreen claims. Another big issue was that most of the big Korean sunscreen brands all originated from one specific lab, and it was this lab that was delivering these subpar formulations. What they were actually doing is just taking a standard base formulation and then tweaking it slightly for the individual brand's needs. That meant that the vast majority of Korean sunscreens that we actually reached for here in the West all had pretty much the same formulation, the same filters, and were just packaged to that brand's specific requirement. This meant that when one fell, they all pretty much fell, and this is how it became an industry-wide issue. The brands, they blamed the lab blamed the regulation and the light touch approach to ingredient quality and performance, and us, the consumer, well, we just blamed everybody, and I think it created a real sense of mistrust around the entire Korean skincare industry. Now, it is worth noting that this issue was specific to Korean sunscreens. There haven't really been any other major issues around other ingredients, other products coming out of that market. But I think when we're talking about sun protection being the most vital part of a skincare routine, if you don't get that right, it kind of creates mistrust against all the brand's products or the wider industry itself, and that definitely took hold. You saw a dramatic and pretty immediate decline in Korean sunscreen sales, but this also really rippled into other Korean skincare categories and products. It was at this point that a lot of people said, yeah, this is going to represent the downfall of Korean skincare in general, specifically here in the West. People were already getting a little bit fatigued with Korean skincare about the constant changing pace, new trends, new ingredients, must-haves. It was all a bit too fast-paced for our taste, and people were already kind of seeing that Korean skincare fatigue. Add on top of it issues around regulations and a lack of trust for some of the biggest brands. This kind of led to a lot of people moving away from Korean skincare. However, that downfall never really materialized. It actually just represented a short-term blip. And now I want to take a quick look at how an entire industry kind of managed to turn this scandal around and get everyone back loving their products and what they have to offer. Well, first and foremost, I think brands really knew that this wasn't something that could just be brushed under the carpet. You often see with scandals in the skincare industry that brands just kind of sit tight and assume that people will, over time, just forget. That largely does happen. However, with something on this scale, I think all the brands and the industry regulators knew that something needed to change. And those regulations did tighten up pretty quickly. And again, I think that was the first step in regaining trust and confidence. Brands really did go back to the drawing board as well with all of their formulations and immediately wanted to bring out, in order to really capitalize on being the good guy, come out with formulations that were tried, tested, and they were really transparent with that testing. I think this is something that for us as consumers is a huge positive to come out of this scandal. I wish it had never happened in the first place, but the fact that it did meant that brands in the Korean market really became like the standard bearers for transparency. Most Korean sunscreen manufacturers will now release their independent testing and lab analysis to prove that their SPF is delivering what the brand claim. This really should be the standard across the whole industry. It doesn't matter whether you're based in Korea, here in Europe, in North America. All brands should be this transparent, and I think it's phenomenal. As consumers, we're kind of now demanding and expecting that level of transparency. This started with Korean sunscreens really trying to say, look, you can trust us, here's the proof. And you now see Western brands doing this too, which honestly, it is music to my ears, because I definitely want to know that what I'm putting on my skin is what the brands are claiming it to be. You also saw a huge amount of innovation come on the back of this scandal. So brands really had to quickly reformulate their products. And when they reformulated them to have the right level of SPF coverage that they were claiming, it meant that the products were slightly thicker, maybe a little bit more occlusive than they were before, because they were actually delivering the right protection. And so they couldn't just rely on being impossibly lightweight as that selling point. They needed a couple of other additional hooks. And I'm going to share with you some Korean sunscreens which offer a whole lot different to what you will traditionally see here in the West. And I think this innovation is what really meant that in a period of 3 years, the Korean sunscreen market can actually regain all its lost momentum. It is now selling in larger volumes than it was pre-scandal, which is a pretty phenomenal turnaround. When we look at these innovations, all these brands are offering something different, and I think that's where it's key. As consumers, we are spoiled for choice, and that is phenomenal. So maybe you're still on the fence when it comes to Korean sunscreens, or you haven't found your perfect pairing when it comes to sun protection. Well, hopefully in this video, I can help you out, because I've selected the top 3 tried, tested and independently proven sunscreens that also offer something truly innovative when it comes to our skincare routine. Starting out strong, this is the K-Secret Collagen Boosting Secret Sun Lotion. Now that's a ridiculously long name, but don't worry, I've linked it in the description box below, as I have all the products mentioned today. This is something truly special if your primary focus is anti-aging. Not only do you get that guaranteed SPF 50+, they've released the testing, so we know that's exactly what it's delivering, but you also get a range of different ingredients which are going to boost the anti-aging potential of your routine. So in here, you've got some hydrolyzed collagen, which is going to instantly plump and smooth. You've got a peptide complex, which is fantastic for long-term anti-aging. Some antioxidants in here, calming and soothing ingredients, and let me tell you, this has the nicest finish on the skin. So it's wonderfully hydrating. That collagen really does give some hydration and plumping, but you work this in and it disappears without a trace. It just leaves behind the most perfect finish to the skin. You can put your makeup on top of it and it'll last all day long. And this to me is, look at that. You can barely see I'm wearing anything other than a little plumping, a light touch of hydration, and a great formula to really like boost the anti-aging. This is one of my personal favorites, and I'll use this in the cooler winter months where I need a little bit more hydration for my skin. This is a go-to every single time. Another phenomenal product is this. This is the non-buzzing Pure Fault Calming Water Sunscreen. Now, where this is innovative is it actually has some ingredients in here that are clinically proven to reduce the temperature of the skin. So if you're someone who in summer is super redness prone, you get very hot, you might see that flushing, this could be a fantastic product to incorporate into your skincare routine. Like I say, they've released the data proving it's an SPF 50+. They've also released the data showing how effective it can be in reducing the temperature of the skin. This is important because if we see the temperature of the skin raise for a prolonged period of time, this can trigger hyperpigmentation, a breakdown in collagen and elastin, and all the things we don't want for our skin. So this is a great option for people that are looking for that calming and cooling sensation. I absolutely love it, and because it's got a slight greenish tint to it, I don't know whether you can see that, it's got a slight greenish tint to it, which means it'll do a light color correction. So if you're somebody that is a little redness prone, this could be a real quick fix. And for me, it's the holy grail, particularly in those warmer summer months. Finally, I want to share this. This is the Jumiso Awesome Airy Fit Sunscreen. Now, the reason I'm calling this out as innovative is not only do you have a great blend of really beneficial skincare ingredients in here, but this is a sunscreen that has an 8-hour mechanism of action. So you can put it on the skin, it'll last for 8 hours, it means you don't have to reapply consistently through the day. Great if you're out and about, living your life, and don't want to have to be constantly thinking about sunscreen. But most importantly, this delivers all of that with such a gorgeous finish on the skin. I'd say of all of the current generation of Korean sunscreens, this is the one that has the closest match to a natural skin finish. It just delivers. It looks phenomenal on application. And I find that it doesn't ball, it doesn't budge, it doesn't pill up. It just lasts for that 8 hours. Meaning you don't have to stress it or worry. You can go about your day and know that you're covered. I absolutely love this. I can't stop looking at my skin when I've got it on. It just looks beautiful. And again, I think it's an example of a tried, tested, fully transparent sunscreen that is delivering that revolution that I think we all crave in sun protection. So, do I wish that the Korean sunscreen scandal never happened? Of course I do. I hate the idea that people were using subpar sun protection for such a long period of time. However, with any negative, I always think if we can take some silver linings or some positives from it, I always think we should. And when it comes to the Korean sunscreen scandal, I think the speed at which industry regulators turned things on their head, tightened things up, and the way that brands responded, I really think did them credit. And so, as consumers now in 2024, we have far more transparency than we've ever had before. We know exactly what we're putting on our skin, and it's really helped to drive forward innovation. So as a result, we now have access to far greater quality sun protection than we've ever had at any other point. And that to me has to be a good thing. Like I say, wish it never happened, but I can totally see why in 2024, Korean sunscreens are as popular as they ever were. And I think 2025 is going to be another bumper year for the Korean skincare industry. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comments section below, wherever you are in the world, guys. Stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.